Good afternoon and welcome. You're watching News Central now on News Central TV. My name is Mazino. Appeal. Coming up, National Assembly resumes today. Legislator expecting President to forward 2025 budget. And Kogi State House of Assembly demands sack of EFCC Chairman Ulu Kayode. Opposition leaders release ahead of a planned protest in Tanzania. We have the details in a moment. Now we begin by telling you that as the National Assembly resumes today from its annual recess, the Senate leader Kweyemi Bamidele says both chambers of the National Assembly are expecting President Bola Tinubu to present the 2025 budget as well as the new Minimum Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper. In a personally signed statement, Bamidele said the consideration of MTEF occupies a prime place on the rung of our legislative agenda because MTEF must be ready before the 2025 appropriation bill can be laid before the National Assembly. The MTEF is the legal framework that provides the template for the budget and is usually submitted to the Parliament ahead of the President's presentation of his yearly budget to lawmakers. Now to security matters. A notorious bandit leader, Kachala Shame, and several others have been killed in a violent clash between rival gangs in Kaduna State. Authorities have confirmed Kaduna's Commissioner for Internal Security, Samuel Aruwan, stated that Shame was killed in a fierce gunfight on Saturday in the Rijana and Kaso Forest, spanning Kachia, Chikung, and Kajuru areas. 2 other bandits were also killed, while 5 sustained severe injuries. Shame's gang was responsible for numerous attacks, including the July 2021 abduction of 121 students from Bethel Baptist High School. Aranwa described Shame's death as a significant victory in the fight against banditry in the Northwest, with some kidnapped victims reportedly escaping during the clash. And away from security matters now, Senate leader Kweyemi Bamidele announced that the National Assembly's probe into alleged economic sabotage in the petroleum sector will be conducted jointly by both legislative chambers. Bamidele, chair of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee for the investigation, stated that the inquiry will focus on issues like crude oil theft, refinery maintenance failures, substandard fuel imports, and supply disruptions. Contrary to reports, the Senate did not suspend its probe but postponed hearing to address procedural matters. He added that the investigation aims to uncover the roots of sabotage and improve the petroleum industry. Bamidele also noted that the Senate is awaiting the new Minimum Term Expenditure Framework and is preparing for the ongoing review of the 1999 Constitution. And the Federal Executive Council, FEC, approved the establishment of a disaster management fund. Now, this was disclosed to journalists on Monday by Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, at the State House, Abuja, after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu. According to the minister, in this era of climate change, no matter the prevention measures in place, disaster will still occur. He emphasized the importance of pooling funds from various sectors and being prepared when disaster strikes. Now let's head to Edo State with update on the outcome of the governorship elections. Reactions have continued to trail the outcome of the governorship elections held on Saturday in Edo State. Our News Central correspondent Austin Azu, who is monitoring the developments in Benin City, brings us details.
The Edo State governorship election conducted on Saturday, September 21st by the Independent National Electoral Commission, a subsequent declaration of winner will not be forgotten in a hurry.
That Bola Monday of APC, having satisfied the requirement of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
Though some party agents have accused both the electoral umpire and security of being partial, stating their party's intention to challenge the election results collated and declared.
Our party, independently, Zeni Labour Party, will challenge the outcome of this election in the tribunal. We don't know of other parties what they will do, but we, as the Zeni Labour Party, will challenge it. Not because we want to be declared the winner, but we want to keep those in the helms of our affair on their toes, as I have mentioned before, just for the purpose of accountability and transparency. People, any evil done should be redressed and should not be left unattended to.
Looking at them, there's no celebration. It's only the APC leaders that are going to benefit from this fraud that are celebrating. So INEC has done its worst, but we continue, we move on.
The governorship candidate of the PDP, Aswe Godalo, in a broadcast, alleged that the poll was marred by voter intimidation, threats of violence, harassment, arrest, and financial inducements.
Of this challenge, we must not be discouraged. The illusory triumph of evil over good is only temporary. Our journey towards a prosperous Edo State does not end here.
On the other hand, the Labour Party governorship candidate Olumide Akpata, at a press conference in Benin, accused the PDP and APC of vote buying instead of engaging in free and fair election practices.
What transpired on the 21st of September was not an election, but a transaction. It was enabled by those who chose to stay away, making it easier for the two dominant parties to afford a significant majority of the few votes on offer.
In another development, some respondents in Benin have highlighted areas they want the incoming governor to focus on.
Most expectation, he should continue from where the previous government starts, policy-wise, infrastructural-wise, and project execution.
I expect him to be an open governor, an accessible governor. Secondly, I expect him to appoint the very best people, the most courageous people of this state.
I want to see a governor who will actually respect our traditional institution. That, for an Edo man, is key and is number one.
The issue of roads should be tackled. In Edo State here, I noticed that virtually all the roads, especially the federal roads, are in a very bad state.
If the primary purpose of government is to guarantee security and welfare for its people, it therefore means that the governor-elect of Edo State must prioritize the welfare and security of his people. In Benin, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Now, still on the elections, members of the All Progressive Congress in Edo State have dismissed allegations of election rigging leveled by the People's Democratic Party at the just concluded governorship election. This was as they held a victory parade following their success at the poll, which they say the APC candidate Monday Okwebolo beat his closest rival, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Aswe Godalo, at the poll. Ahmedin Uyi reports.
The celebration commenced at the APC office in Auchi, Edo State. Young and old, male and female, party faithful, they came out in their numbers to celebrate the victory of the All Progressives Congress at the just concluded Edo State governorship election. From there, they then commenced the victory parade along major streets of Auchi City.
For our victory, I'm happy because for 8 years now we have been suffering. No good road, no good schools, no good hospitals. So today we are happy.
Because all of us, especially in Edo North, we know Obaseki did not do anything. He underperformed. And when you underperform, you cannot get a second or a third term.
You can see the mood of the people. They are happy that the government has changed from bad to good. Our people now have hope. The past administration did not do anything.
Women, they are the super of APC. They are the head and the tail. We use our full effort to make sure we pull out PDP out of the government.
Some presidents say the victory is a reward for their efforts during the poll.
We work day and night to get victory. If PDP know that they don't have anything to do or to contribute or to even get the vote of our people, because they really suffered us. Nothing to show in Esako West that was done by Governor Baseki's administration. Rather, it's fight, fight, fight.
They also took time to dismiss allegations of election rigging by the People's Democratic Party, urging them to prove their claims.
It's not rig election. It was fair election. We did not rig. Everything is in the internet. We won it free and fair. We did not rig it. We were tired of PDP and we decided to sweep them away.
Ask them if anybody's unit was rigged. The PDP voted in their various unit. Were there any rigging in their various unit? If there's no rigging in their unit, then there's no rigging in my unit. There was no rigging in Edo State.
It is the cry of the loser. Anybody that lost election, we accuse opponent that they rigged the election. In this part of the state, nobody rigs election. The work our leader has done when he was governor for 8 years is testimony to it. So that anytime he asks us to go and vote for APC candidate, we always trust that candidate.
They expressed confidence that the newly elected governor will deliver on his promises to the citizens of Edo State. In Auchi, Edo State for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Still on the elections, reactions have continued to trail the conclusion of the Edo State governorship poll. While some residents of Auchi located at the Esako West local government area dispute the integrity of the poll, others say it was a victory for the All Progressives Congress and highlight several areas that they desire the newly elected governor to focus on when he assumes office.
Yes, really, APC win because of this our governor. The react where react is too much because don't have feeling for anybody. Anybody will no guessy party for anybody. So now waiting suppose now the software supposed to receive now I receive so because all the old people were voter in he use K flog everybody. So if he say he can use your power, but no say power pass power.
The election have come and gone. First and foremost, I would say we thank God for the election not being a bloody one. It was, to my understanding, it was peaceful. So that is all I know about the election, and they will congratulate the winner.
Let's go on a short break now, and when we return, we tell you that Nigeria demands permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council after 41 peacekeeping missions. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has acknowledged the tremendous effort of the leadership of the Federal Civil Service at the building the capacity of the workforce for greater productivity and assured that the Rivers State government will not relent in offering tenable support that will contribute to the success of the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Governor Fubara made the acknowledgement when he received a courtesy visit. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Walton-Jack, at Government House in Port Harcourt on Monday. Governor Fubara said lots of initiatives and actions have been taken since he assumed office to reposition the state civil service that was nearly dead. Governor Fubara also bemoaned how civil servants have been deprived of functional training opportunities that should expose them to contemporary procedures and work ethics, which had taken a toll on the entire service.
In terms of training, which is key, I can't remember the year that any of these civil servants here had gone for any. I think the last time we did training was in 2010. Yes, that was the last time the civil service involved in anything training. So I know what it means because that is my primary constituency. Training is the only thing that can build the service that will give us that level of result of transparency, efficiency, even assurance that there is hope. It is only when you start building them and they feel secure and they also understand that something is at stake.
My visit, Your Excellency, is not just a ceremonial gesture. It is a genuine opportunity to strengthen our partnership and explore new avenues for collaboration. With a shared commitment to innovation and progress, I am confident that we can achieve great things for River State and Nigeria. As the head of the civil service of the Federation, I am dedicated to ensuring.
Let's bring you updates on the flood in Borno. Following the severe flooding that affected Maiduguri, UNICEF and the Borno State Primary Healthcare Development Board have initiated a comprehensive health campaign targeting IDP camps. The campaign focuses on integrating oral cholera and measles vaccinations alongside vitamin A supplementation for children. News Central's Umaru Kirawa has more details.
Life in an IDP camp in Nigeria's Borno State. Many children are at heightened risks of several diseases such as measles and cholera due to overcrowding and limited access to health care. A campaign to sensitize and vaccinate thousands as well as provide essential supplements to boost immunity has been initiated.
Muna so mu yi kokari mu koma gida ne amma yanzu ruwan ya dan ja muna so tabo-tabon ya zama babu mu tattara mu koma gida da zama rigakafin ma kuma an samu an yi wa yarinya na nagode Allah ya taimaka Allah ya bada lada.
We thank to the government to bring us some drugs about cholera and other measles. Also, we are going to follow what they are told us, inshallah. We are clean our environment before we go back to our hometown.
Health officials report a pressing need for such measures as flood conditions have increased the risk of infectious diseases.
From January 2024 till date, Borno State witnessed 36 suspected cases of cholera, acute watery diarrhea. Out of this, including during this flood, only 4 cases were sent to the National Reference Laboratory, which is run by NCDC in Abuja. And out of these 4, only 2 turned out to be positive. And these 2 have already been discharged home. We have taken measures, immediate measures, to ensure that these people were treated as suspicious cases of cholera. So we have already established all the rules and regulations and the hospitals where, if necessary, these cases are referred to and treated appropriately.
We are very relieved that we have received a portion of the very scarce cholera vaccines. There are only very few available globally. That we have received 500,000 doses for Borno State, and today the first children and the first mothers and the first health workers are receiving this vaccine to prevent the outbreak of cholera.
The commitment by UNICEF and the government seeks to address the public health challenges and ensure the safety and health of displaced families during this critical period. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The Kogi State House of Assembly has called for the immediate removal of the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, over what it called the unprofessional handling of the case against the immediate past governor of the state, Yahaya Bello. The legislators during plenary in Lokoja, the state capital, on Monday condemned what they described as the EFCC operatives' unprovoked attack on the Kogi State Government Lodge, saying it was an attack on the governor of Kogi State, Alhaji Ahmed Usman Ududu, and the entirety of the Kogi people. The lawmakers accused the EFCC of assassination attempts on the former governor and the incumbent, stressing that the persecution of the former governor had gone on for too long and must stop.
Mr. Speaker, how can the EFCC declare the former governor Alhaji Yahya Adoza a fugitive when he has gone to court to sort his fundamental human rights? Enough is enough, Mr. Speaker. It is high time we rise, because an injury to one is an injury to all. This is an embarrassment to Kogi State.
This is a big slap to our dear state, an attempt to arrest on government lodge. I stand under the protection of the Speaker on the floor of this House chamber that EFCC should be called into order and call.
Away from that, Nigeria's Minister of Defense, Mohammed Baduru, addressed the 79th United Nations General Assembly, emphasizing Nigeria's long-standing commitments to international peace and security. Baduru made this known at the summit of the Future Interactive Dialogue 2, enhancing multilateralism for international peace and security, highlighted the deployment of over 200,000 troops in UN operations. The minister called for reform of the UN Security Council to ensure Africa is represented with permanent seats, arguing that this would enhance global stability. Baduru called on the international community to intensify efforts to control the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in conflict zones, particularly in the Sahel region. Earlier on the news, Catch Omonuju, political analyst, joined us to discuss this.
For the United Nations to include people from Africa on the Security Council. And of course, you know, now that there is a call for alternative bodies to challenge the United Nations, one of the very reasons being given today across the world is that the Security Council is not expansive enough. It's not inclusive enough. It should include other people. And I believe now is the time to admit Africa to the Security Council. And I believe Nigeria does qualify to be given a seat at the United Nations Security Council. That Nigeria has been a fantastic participant in United Nations peacekeeping operations across the world.
Now, barely 16 months after he was arrested and convicted for ingesting 96 pallets of cocaine, a 48-year-old businessman, Christian Ifeanyi Ogbuji, has been intercepted by operators of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MMIA, Ikeja, Lagos, for importing 817 wraps of the same Class A drug weighing 19.4 kilograms with an estimated street value of 4,656 million naira. Ogbuji was first arrested at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on Wednesday, 10th May 2023, upon arrival from Uganda via Addis Ababa on board Ethiopian Airlines flight ET951 for ingesting 93 pallets of cocaine with a gross weight of 1.986 kilograms. Ogbuji is believed to be a key player in a drug cartel operating between Brazil, Ethiopia, Nigeria, and other West African countries. The NDLEA has commended the officers involved in the arrest and vows to continue disrupting drug cartels in Nigeria. Gender rights advocates have called for strengthening of existing laws that will help tackle sexual and gender-based violence and bring an end to the rising cases of femicide in the country. They expressed concerns over the stigma and shame experienced by victims and also the culture of silence which continues to empower perpetrators. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, completes this report.
Femicide, which is an intentional killing of women and girls on the account of their gender, is a serious crime that is on the rise in Nigeria. Some recent cases of femicide include the arrest of Paul Jeremiah, a 20-year-old undergraduate, by the Kogi State Police Command for kidnapping and murdering Damilola, a 19-year-old first-year student, when dissatisfied with the ransom offered by her family. Also, the arrest of Ayomide Adeleye, a 200-level philosophy student who confessed to the murder of Christiana Idowu, a 300-level student of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta.
Justina Nkang was murdered and dismembered by her boyfriend. Damian Okoligwe, a 400-level student of petrochemical engineering at the University of Port Harcourt. The deceased was a 300-level undergraduate student. To date, no justice. Celine Ndudim and Afiba Tando vanished after visiting one Andrew Amechi. They are missing till date. These cases are just a few examples of what has happened this year alone, and it reflects a growing pattern of gender-based violence and femicide that is becoming frequent in our society.
A 2022 report claims that at least 401 women died from sexual and gender-based violence in the country, and many of these cases have gone unreported, leaving families of the victims devastated amidst the culture of silence.
We need to strengthen existing laws that address SGBV and ensure its enforcement. Perpetrators of femicide must face swift and adequate punishment to deter future crimes. It is critical to break this silence surrounding femicide in Nigeria. Public education programs that dismantle harmful gender stereotypes and promote gender equality can help reduce this culture of violence.
To effectively combat femicide, the government and other stakeholders have been tasked to unite in the fight against femicide, calling on families and loved ones of victims to discard the culture of silence, which continues to empower perpetrators. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Welcome back. Now, in August of 2024, the average retail price of cooking gas is 15,552 naira 65 kobo was paid for refilling a 12.6 kilogram cylinder of liquefied petroleum gas. That's cooking gas. Now, this is a 69.15 or 69.15% annual increase from 9,194 naira 41 kobo in August of 2023. Now, our business desk has more details on this.
In August 2024, the average retail price of 15,552 naira 56 kobo was paid for refilling a 12.5 kilogram cylinder of liquefied petroleum gas, also known as cooking gas. This is a 69.15% annual increase from 9,194 naira 41 kobo in August 2023. The National Bureau of Statistics reported that from 14,261 naira 57 kobo in July 2024, it also climbed by 9.05% on a monthly basis. In August 2024, the average retail cost of refilling a 5 kilogram cylinder of cooking gas climbed by 56.25% year over year to 6,430 naira 2 kobo.
And now joining me to have this discussion is Bolade Agbola, investment research analyst, Chapel Hill Denham Securities. Bolade, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Now, Bolade, would like to know exactly what's responsible for the 69% year-on-year increase of LPG in Nigeria.
There are two major causes for this increase, but before I speak on these causes, I would like to highlight that 57% of our imports of LPG, over 57% is what we import of LPG into the country, and this makes us susceptible to volatility in the naira. And this brings me to my first cause, which is exchange rates. We've seen that the naira has depreciated by about 52% on the parallel market year on year and 51% on the official market year on year. The second thing is the global prices of LPG, and we highlight that, looking at it on an average basis, global LPG prices has increased by about 20% year on year. These two major factors are what is driving the increase that we are seeing in the LPG market.
So with those factors stated, we also see that there's a big disparity, a regional disparity when it comes to the cost of LPG in Nigeria. For instance, Cross River State and River State have a lower, I think, if I'm not mistaken, price than states like Nasarawa and Bauchi. What's responsible for that?
Based on my knowledge, I've attribute this disparity to lower demand in the northern region compared to the southern region. And this low demand is influenced by product substitutes. And in the northern region, we see that there's easy access to product substitutes such as firewood, such as coal. And with the significant increase in price of cooking gas, we would expect that consumers are more skewed to lower cost energy substitutes, which is firewood and charcoal. And in this kind of a situation, we will highlight that the bargaining power is more skewed to the buyer than the supplier, which makes price the price in the northern region a little bit cheaper compared to the southern region.
And if we continue to experience this increase in cost of LPG, what's the effect on the Nigerian household, the economy of the Nigerian household?
The effect would majorly be rising cost of living, which is something that we have been battling with for quite a while now. And even in the recent inflation report, as we've seen that there's been a moderation in inflation, it is majorly attributed to disinflation in the food inflation. So the pressure points on the other subsector index, is still there, such as the core and the energy index. So we just attribute, what we'll be seeing more is rising cost of living.
Bolade, are there any government policies that is trying to check this increase? Because if it continues to go, obviously it wouldn't be too good for Nigerian households. What government policies are in place and are they working?
Some of the government's policies is first the removal of custom duty and VAT on imported LPG and other associated equipment with LPG importation. The second is to ensuring availability and accessibility of this product, and this is by partnering with the private sector. One of such is the CEPLAT annual gas project, which we expect to produce LPG in when it begins operation, which is slated for the end of Q3 2024. So these are some of the things that the government is doing. While I will not say that the government policies are ineffective, what I will say is that there's been a lag, in seeing the results that we want to see. Another important leg that would also note is the fact that the exchange rate, as I earlier mentioned, plays a negative impact to some of the policies that has been put in place until there is a more stable exchange rate before we begin to see this the impact of these policies that they are implementing.
Well, Bolade, thank you very much for the detail here today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, Ghana police arrest 45 protesters over economic hardship. We'll tell you more after the break. Join us then. The news continues in West Africa, where Ghanaian police arrested 3 more protesters, including Oliver Baker Vermawar, leader of the Democratic Hub Group, following clashes during demonstrations in Accra. This brings the total number to 45 arrests after 42 people were detained the previous day. The protests, sparked by concerns over illegal mining and economic hardship, began on Friday and were set to continue through Monday. Demonstrators, mostly youth, marched through Accra with placards voicing frustration over environmental destruction and government mismanagement. Police accused the protesters of unlawful assembly and attacking officers. According to police spokesperson Grace Ansa Akofi, the arrested individuals will face charges including obstructing traffic, damaging property, and causing disturbances. And now we head on to East Africa, where Tanzania's main opposition leader Freeman Mbowe and Tundu Lissu were released on bail Monday night, according to their party, Chadema. The two had been arrested earlier in the day in Dar es Salaam ahead of planned protests against alleged killings and abductions of government critics. Mbowe, Chadema's chairman, was arrested on the street while Lissu was taken from his home by a convoy of police vehicles. Despite being granted bail, Mbowe chose to remain in custody until all party members and supporters arrested during the protest were released. Police have deployed riot forces detaining 14 people for defying the protest ban. The protest followed the death of Chadema's leader Ali Mohammed Kibao, who was abducted and killed. In southern Morocco, 10 people were killed over the weekend after floodwaters swept away a bus, authorities have confirmed. Initially, 2 deaths were reported, with 14 people missing after a heavy rainstorm in Tata province on Friday. However, authorities later recovered 8 more bodies and 13 survivors were rescued, according to the health ministry. 7 people remain missing. Earlier this month, similar floods claimed at least 18 lives in southern Morocco, where the Sahara Desert meets rare heavy rains. The region is also battling its worst drought in nearly 40 years, severely impacting agriculture. Experts warn that climate change is intensifying extreme weather, with more frequent storms and droughts threatening the water-stressed nation. And still ahead, Australia to lead proposed UN declaration on protecting humanitarian workers. We'll tell you more after the break. Join us again. Welcome back. Now, Australia is leading a new effort at the United Nations to protect aid workers in conflict zones. Deaths of aid workers are on the rise, with hundreds killed each year in conflict areas around the globe. The death of an Australian aid worker in Gaza earlier this year has sparked the Australian push and a hope all countries can agree those helping others in need should never be a target.
Ministers and governments represented have determined to pursue a new declaration on the protection of humanitarian personnel, a declaration which we will prepare and develop over coming months, in which we will seek to demonstrate the unity of the international community's commitment to protect humanitarian personnel and to channel that commitment into action in all current and future conflicts. All countries will be invited to join the declaration. We are deeply concerned, we're alarmed by the escalation and the loss of civilian life, both in Lebanon and also the attacks into Israel.
Information integrity is only achievable with an independent, free and pluralistic media. The UN Global Principles for Information Integrity underscores that robust and urgent responses are needed to support public interest news organizations, journalists and media workers. Stakeholders believe that the principles call for protecting press freedom and promoting ethical conduct within the media.
As you know, Ghana has quite a big responsibility for the slave trade. 75% of the slave castles through which the trade passed through are situated on Ghanaian soil. So we are particularly involved in the events and in what has happened since. Is the reason why last year we convened the Accra Reparations Conference to be able to focus the mind of the world on the steps that need now to be taken. Our view, three things critical. One, that we gather the global African family together, like what's happening today, to say that we will not ever again experience such a barbaric, inhumane set of transactions. We make a firm commitment never to subject the African peoples to this inhumane practice.
And in business, Nigeria's Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has issued a firm directive to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, mandating them to resolve airline ticket refund issues within 24 hours. This comes in response to funds currently held by several airlines, especially those that have recently ceased flight operations. Speaking at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos during the unveiling of the NCAA's Consumer Protection Portal, Keyamo expressed discontent with the difficulties passengers have faced in reclaiming funds from airlines that halted services. The minister emphasized that such behavior from airlines would no longer be tolerated. Earlier, we were joined by Olumide Ohunayo, General Secretary, Aviation Roundtable.
Laws are always there, the processes are always there, but we always had issues with the implementation, and implementation remains the problem, because there's a delicate balance between taking care of this, going by the rules, and also keeping the airlines afloat. But you can bear with me that if we apply the rules on delays and cancellations, almost all the airlines will go bankrupt because the flight delays and cancellations in our climb is abysmal. And when you ask the airlines, they also say that they are not responsible alone for these actions, that all the other government agencies and actions contribute to the delays and cancellations. There's the NCA regulation, Part 19, that deals with consumer protection. Part 7 of that, Section 7 of that Part 19 says etiquette reform must be done within 7 days. The NCA has also gone ahead to create the Consumer Protection Department and also elevated that department to a directorate. So that makes the directorate easier for him to communicate with other agencies and parties outside the NCAA. But all these are processes that has been put in place, and yes, and consumers are still not finding it easy to get refund. And again, of recent is the launching of this new portal for.
Now, the President and Chief Executive of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has urged the federal government to end fuel subsidies completely. Speaking in a 26-minute interview with Bloomberg Television in New York on Monday, he said the time is right to end subsidy, which have gulped trillions of naira from the Nigerian coffers. According to him, the removal would assist in determining the country's actual consumption. His advice follows the recent commencement of petrol lifting from the Dangote refinery and price increments to 950 naira per litre in Lagos State and its environments, and above 1,000 naira in the north. He stated that fuel production from his refinery will help ease pressure on the naira, and also confirmed ownership of 2 oil blocks in the upstream sector with an expected product date of next month. Vice President Kashim Shettima says the United States Chamber of Commerce has committed $320 million towards mortgage refinancing and funding of small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. Shettima announced this via his X page on Tuesday. According to him, the commitments were made during a U.S.-Nigeria Executive Business Roundtable hosted by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce during the ongoing United Nations General Assembly. He said Nishar Biswal of Development Financial Corporation pledged a $200 million investment in mortgage refinancing in Nigeria, adding that $100 million has been earmarked for First City Monument Bank to finance SMEs in Nigeria with particular interest in women's empowerment. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce also approved $20 million toward processing cashew nuts in Nigeria. And that's all this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. National Assembly resumes today. Legislator expecting President to forward 2025 budget. Kogi State House of Assembly demands sack of EFCC Chairman Olu Koyede. Opposition leaders released ahead of planned protests in Tanzania and And that will be all for the news today. Do remember now to send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Able TV, and many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino.